Well, we're officially out of the dungeon, though we aren't quite in the Feymarch yet. There's still some room between us and the village at this point. The important thing is that we're not going to have to deal with any random encounters in here, and there are people to interact with. I'm not really expecting anything especially amazing when talking to these people. Definitely not anything along the lines of especially big revelations, but still, this is the absolute last new town we're gonna see in the game. Every other location we've got to go to are either going to be dungeons or towns that we've already visited before. Part of me wants to say that's a damn good sign that we're getting pretty close to the end of the game. Then I remember how long it took for us to go from the absolute final town in the first game to the absolute final dungeon. And Final Fantasy I was notably very lacking in terms of story. It was as bare bones as possible. Just build your team, here are your objectives, save the world. Whereas this game has a plot and characters. I'm sure that the plot will find ways to slow things down alongside my own lack of urgency as we chase after Golbez. Well, that seems to be everyone we can talk to here, and all the chests available on this level. It's probably not 100% needed, but I would have liked something to help convey that we're going on teleport pads. A flash of light, a sound effect, just something other than just fading to black and there you are in a new location. What we have is certainly serviceable. You don't really need to show much to show your move into a new location after you step on a certain block, but still, something like that feels like it needs a little more razzle-dazzle or something, and since it's not like we see a lot of teleport spots in this game in general, it should have been easy enough to try to make it feel a little more special. In fact, I think the Feymarch might be the only place we ever see teleport points at all, though I might be wrong as we head closer and closer to the ending. And now we're actually in the village itself, not just the outskirts. I can't think of too many villages in Final Fantasy in general that have an outskirts. Usually you're just inside the town or you're outside. Well, to be fair, we skipped from Final Fantasy 1 to 4, and it's not like we've interacted with a lot of chocobos in this game. So really, it's tough to be all that shocked seeing a talking chocobo, since they haven't really firmed up in our minds just yet. That'll probably happen by the time we get to Final Fantasy V. Anyway, let's start cleaning up our inventory a bit. Definitely going to need to sort our inventory so the various potions all get clustered together. Again, that really feels like something that should have absolutely been automatic. On the one hand, that's a rather pricey stay at the inn. On the other hand, they very much do not get many customers out here, not with how far out of the way the Feymarch is from every other bit of civilization on the planet, both above and below ground. People are just not gonna casually wander out here. Guess I'm supposed to laugh at that line. I kinda wish the standard summons had more of a role in the story here. After all, Rydia being a summoner is supposed to be something absolutely amazing, but no. Her big character trait that caused her home to be burnt to the ground is kind of shoved to the side. Sure, a lot of the side quests in this game give some more powerful summons to her as a reward. It's not that the game has forgotten about her or something. It's that the game has remarkably little character moments in the story, even when that character should be important in a given spot. Cecile is the main character, but his last big personal moment was reuniting with Rosa. Edge will have no further big character moments after he told his advisor to run the country in his absence, as he goes off and does other things for the sake of avoiding responsibility. Anyway, bit of a save, then we'll see what else is in the town. I'll take your word for it. I don't think this game has anywhere near enough space left to have an especially big amount of text in a library. Hell, you don't see a lot of lore inserted into a game in that kind of style until around the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era of gaming, with the likes of Dragon Age and Mass Effect. Well, strong will and over 40 levels up, not to mention some very expensive weapons and armor. Yeah, really not seeing anything in here that I would call a revelation. Hell, a lot of it is stuff we already knew. Funnily enough, Ifrit's biggest roles will be in Final Fantasies 15 and 16, when the series is arguably in quite the slump after their golden era. I definitely won't be touching 15 since that story is too much of a mess, even if I do occasionally have fun going through it. Even with supplementary material, it can feel like you're missing some critical details there. Whereas 16... sure, it's nothing mind-blowing, and I might choose not to do it because it is a whole lot of surface-level stuff. Certainly more of a visual spectacle than a storytelling masterpiece, but it would be a lot easier to deal with in terms of a Let's Play. Speaking of, I'm really considering just not doing the After Years or the Interlude when we're done with this game's main story. The Interlude is literally just a setup for the After Years, and the After Years, well, if you're a big fan of Final Fantasy IV, it's fun to see how the characters are doing when they're old enough to have kids. The kids themselves, not that interesting, and far too many of the story beats of Final Fantasy IV are repeated. In fact, the best part of the After Years is just seeing how brilliant Edward is as a leader. He more than makes up for his lack of ability in actual combat there. I'm kinda sorry for Edward, but he is just not enough of a draw to make me want to add those two expansions to the Final Fantasy IV experience to my Let's Play list now that I'm sitting down and thinking about it. I've got plenty of other things to work on anyway, no shortage of games on my list. Anyway, I suppose it's interesting to learn that the Second Moon is something relatively new. Wait, Bahamut isn't the king, but he essentially created all the other summons in this universe? How did he manage to do that? Especially since there's no one who counts as his wife to procreate with in this game, and I don't think Bahamut is ever treated like that style of god that creates other gods in any of the other Final Fantasies. A mystery that nobody is ever going to answer considering the kind of storytelling we've been seeing from this game, though I suppose it does have enough time to try to remedy that since there's still plenty of game left for us to go through. Well, guess we're going to have to kick the Queen's ass before we take on the King. Let's see what Azura has in store for us. Well, we'll find out if we've got the strength. It's easier to have the courage, though, when you can just reload the blast save if you get your ass kicked so you can train up to have another try later. I'm really hoping we can pull it off in one smooth try, but at least we're braced just in case things go poorly for us. Okay, so the woman has a number of different heads, and each one determines her behavior for a given part of the fight. Okay, so the red head is casting defensive spells. It also does physical attacks. Okay, the black-faced blonde also does physical attacks, and Rydia is the first to be knocked out. Really? This side quest is supposed to have a focus on Rydia, and she's taken out in the first of 2 boss fights. Apparently the blonde also gives herself healing spells, so it's a good thing I cast Reflect on her. Damn shame that the raise spell didn't go to the member of our team that would actually revive here, but it's not like Reflect ever really targets anyone in particular. Thank you for constantly casting Protect when you're still affected by Reflect. I very much appreciate the fact that you're incapable of realizing your own status, milady. Oh, come on. Do you mean to tell me each head has a different amount of physical strength? Because we already saw Edge take a punch before that, and it most certainly didn't have 4 digits. Why the hell should different heads on the same body have different strengths? Thank you, milady. The healing from your pale-faced blonde with the red dot on her forehead is very appreciated. He'd even hit someone who was actually planning on healing in the next turn. I also like the loophole that Reflect can screw with regular spells, but not summons. He's really letting Rydia pour the hurt on here. I would have liked it if that raise hadn't missed, though. I also kind of wish there was a way to reorganize the way spells are listed so I don't have to scan through a long list to figure out what I want to do at a given time. It's not like I generally consider a lot of magical options anyway. I generally know what I want to cast in a given fight, and the things that are commonly used in other circumstances. There are just a whole lot of spells I just don't give a damn about. Well, that Curaga didn't go to anyone who actually needed it. Still, better for Azure to waste a shot than to actually heal herself. How much longer is that Reflect spell gonna last on her, anyway? I only cast it once, after all. Wasn't expecting Rose's Karaja to come out that quickly, so I guess I'm just too used to the spells in this game having a longer charge time. Okay, looks like Reflect is finally worn off on the girl. It'll probably be a good idea to send out another Reflect spell, just to keep her from undoing the damage we've been taking quite a bit of time building up. Ugh, son of a bitch. I know, could be worse and all that, but still, it's not great to see. Just like it's not great to know that every physical attack that Cecile or Edge throw invites a counterattack. Azura is most definitely a difficult opponent to deal with. Still, we've handled far worse. Sorry, Cecile, but you are not a very good healer. And I've seen a lot of paladins over the years who could do a solid job keeping their allies in good shape. Granted, part of that is my fault. I'm the one who determines how he fights and what moves he uses, but still, he's far more talented with his sword than with his magical abilities. How much more abuse can she take? This fight has been going on for quite a while, and we've been landing some heavy blows here. Definitely feels like Edge will appreciate the extra protection, sure. He's got a good amount of health this far in, but he's still the second most fragile person on our team at the moment. If you are a physical attacker, and you've got less health than a white mage, you've got issues. Speaking of, I'd rather not see Rosa get taken out after all this bloody fighting. She is the main reason we haven't been taken out. Preventing the enemy from healing herself while keeping everyone else's health up is quite a feat, that's for sure. I just wish there was some way to tell in the middle of a fight how much longer it's gonna take other than just casting Libra or something. All I know at any given time is how close we are to defeat, not how close an especially durable boss is. Definitely running out of charges for Titan to slap her around. And she finally goes down! Bloody hell, that was certainly a grind! We're certainly gonna have to take a rest at the inn before we try to challenge Leviathan right next to her. Anyway, we now have Azura as a summon. She's never going to be quite as capable and versatile as she was when we actually had to fight against her, but she's proven herself to be quite the badass. Kind of a shame that she doesn't become as much of a series mainstay as a summon as Leviathan does. I mean, hell, Shiva, Ifrit, Rama, Leviathan, Bahamut, and Odin all have multiple appearances throughout the franchise as summons, whereas I remember Azura being a boss fight in a bare few other games in the series. It's just one of those little things that occasionally makes me sit back and wonder why the franchise decided to keep one thing, but mostly forget about another. Hell, one of the stranger things for me is that while summons started to become a thing in the franchise in Final Fantasy III, it wasn't until 9 when they started to really be considered a major part of the world building. In 3, 4, 5, 7, and 8, They are essentially treated like part of the background. They are maybe mentioned, but no real story focus is put on them. Sure, they're useful, but not given a spotlight. But 9, 10, 15, and 16 treat them as magical nukes that are very much a major and critical part of their stories. If you remove them, then the story is fucked. I don't really remember how 12 and 13 handled summons, though they were certainly more important than they're coming across in this game, if I remember correctly. I also don't really know enough about Final Fantasy VI to say one way or the other. It's just one of those frustrating things where one of the most beloved games in the franchise has never managed to grab me. And I can't even point out anything it really does wrong, not like I can for this game's story. Final Fantasy IV had a story that hooked me from the start, and felt like it had a lot of wasted potential, combined with playing some of the same cards too damn often. While I doubt I'm gonna be wowed when we get to the next major plot point, hence why I'm stalling and doing other things before heading to the moon, it still managed to make me invested enough to go from beginning to end and look forward to working on the 3D remake in the future. But every time with 6, I feel like I'm forcing myself to go through it. Like it's an obligation for me to go through it, considering all the other Final Fantasy games I've enjoyed over the years. And I just run out of momentum far quicker than I would with Final Fantasy VIII. Which, okay, I love the story there, I love the world building there, but the gameplay elements push me away there. Yeah. It's just felt like something worth mentioning while we're burning cash and killing time. As a side note, I'm pretty sure Rydia counts as a human. Don't worry, if you don't give me trouble, then I won't give you trouble. It's certainly a simple enough policy, and if the various monsters and soldiers decide not to bother fighting against the heroes with an obscenely high kill count, then good for them. We'll just gain our experience points and monies from monsters and soldiers with less of a survival instinct. It's certainly taken quite a while to gain a better whip for Rydia, that's for sure. But again, one of my issues with this game and a few other Final Fantasies is that there's not really too much weapon progression as things go on. So you spend long stretches with no real upgrades to what you have available while the enemies keep getting stronger around you. Sure, leveling up makes you stronger, but I'd like to augment that with more swords or armor.